Hi, I'm John Mallos. Welcome to this live edition of Connect with Me on the showroom floor at Ventura TV on this day. Today it's Monday. It's on the air, off the presses. We're here with a comedian. That's right, 436 Me TV, option 11. A little comedy today here on the program. Back in a moment.
Tonight I want to discuss the importance of the television medium to the American people.
Back here on the program today, on the air, off the presses. Glad you're here. It's a Monday, a few days after, of course, the 4th of July, Independence Day. And today I'm giving away, well, some pairs of tickets right here. 4 pairs of tickets to a comedy show on July the 18th. First callers will get these tickets here. You can come down to Ventura TV at 3619 East Ventura Avenue and pick up your free comedy tickets for July the 18th. Before we move on, I do want to say congratulations to Team USA for the Women's World Cup soccer team winning for the 3rd time in World Cup history. Of course, beating Japan 5-2 yesterday, and what a game it was. The game was virtually over in the first 16 minutes of play, and the Team USA is certainly celebrating big time. Many of the players not getting any sleep overnight, and many in this country and also here in the city of Fresno watching the game with great anticipation, because 4 years ago they lost to Japan. First time they've won it in 16 years. So what a big, exciting day it was for World Cup soccer on the women's side. Hey, I do want to say also that today's program is sponsored by Dr. Thomas Casagrande, 20/20 Optometrics out at Shaw and Blackstone. In the meantime, every Monday through Friday, right here on Comcast, Channel 187, 43.6 and 13.1, you can watch us live. And I'm not sure at what point, maybe you can flip over and see now what the situation is. At some point, you'll be able to see us on 8.1 as well, so that'll be 4 stations at the same time, live between 10 and 11. Replay comes later in the day at 2 on 13.6, 8 o'clock at night on 4.6, and the Twitter account has not changed at John Mallos, Me TV. As mentioned, giving these tickets away for 4 pairs of comedy tickets for July the 18th. It takes place at APCAL, I should say, in Madera. And the man who will stand in front of the audience with a microphone is 47-year-old Danny Minch. He is 47 years old. That's right. Why are you laughing? Anyway, isn't that your age, right?
Yeah,
all right. Yeah, 47 years old. He's been doing comedy only 8 years. He does his work at Fulton 55, the Tower Theater. Sometimes he is not politically correct, as you will see. And you know, he is divorced, and recently he talked about being divorced.
Just went through a divorce after 23 years of marriage. I'm spending $2,600 a month in divorce settlements. That's where I learned it's cheaper to kill her. Absolutely. But she's the mother of my 3 beautiful children, so I can't let them find out it was me. My middle boy, he's taken it the hardest in the divorce, but he's super rebellious. Just came home from school. He's wearing those skinny black jeans, wearing all black clothing, dyed his hair black, eye mascara, and glitter all over his face. Looked like he stepped out of that movie Twilight. And I said, son, I hope to God you're a vampire. Because if you're not sucking blood,
live in our studio right now is Danny Minch. He's 47 years old. He's been doing comedy only 8 years. Maybe you've seen him at the Tower Theater, maybe at Fulton 55, maybe other parts of the Central Valley. And I am giving these tickets away. It's at APCAL on Saturday, July the 18th, 2015 in Madera. So the first callers that call in will get these tickets, 436 Me TV option 11. We'll talk to him about comedy, some politics, what's in, what's out, and you know, who and why he started at such a late age. We're back with our program here on the Air Off the Presses in just a moment. At 20/20 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 20/20 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
A top secret location. It's the Spies Who Love Me, bringing together MeTV's top super spies to fight evil at a memorable moment's notice. They're daring.
That's right.
Brave.
Now what are we gonna do?
The best we can.
Suave.
Does that apply to me, Oscar? Possibly.
And smart.
The yellow finger in the gun trick.
Maxwell Smart.
MeTV Fresno, channel 43.6 and Xfinity 187.
Back here on the program On the Air Off the Presses with Danny Minch, 47-year-old comedian. You got started late, my
Yes,
friends.
I did.
You got
started really late.
And I'm taking a call right off the bat.
Right off the bat.
Good morning, caller. You're on the air. Go ahead.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
How you doing, man?
Good.
What you calling about, my friend? Wow.
I guess
That was an entertaining
that was
call.
very
He
fun.
didn't even stick around for his tickets.
Must have been one of my
Maybe one of your ex-roommates.
my
or something.
ex-wife's boyfriends. I think it might have been.
Oh, man. So we keep harping on this age bit. So
you keep harping on the age bit.
Wait a minute. Who gets
I think you
started?
said 47 times already.
Well, no, 87 times.
Okay.
But why? I mean, you got started so late.
I did get started.
Why?
Very well. There were a lot of religious reasons, family reasons.
You need to explain that. I have no idea what you're talking about.
Well, when I was raised in a very Christian household, that this kind of thing was not acceptable in.
What kind of thing?
Doing stand-up comedy, having any vulgarity in your life.
What does that have to do with Christianity?
According to the way my family believed, it had a huge amount to do with it. So and then my ex-wife also did not want me to ever get up on stage.
Why?
So she did not like me being in front of anybody, drawing any attention to her. She felt like if I was on stage, she would be the one on stage.
Oh, well.
So there's a lot of things that I kind of teeter-tottered with before I ever got into doing stand-up.
Yeah. Caller, are you there? Go ahead.
Yes. Are there certain subjects you almost have to stay away from because of social media crucifying you?
Yeah. Hey, caller, great question. Let me ask you a question. Do you want 2 free tickets or not?
I would really appreciate it, but I won't be available that weekend. So somebody else would be better suited for
You're
that.
not available
But
until
thank you.
Yeah. Okay, well, thank you for the call. Okay, so certain topics and subjects off limits, like what?
There are nothing off limits in comedy. It's just the way you bridge the comedy. You can tackle.
Is sex off limits?
Not with me.
No.
No, sex is one of my favorite things in the world. So
Do
that's
you-
one of the things I'm going to talk about.
Do you get vulgar?
I can get vulgar. Usually, my normal set is pretty benign and clean for the most part.
Yeah.
I call it Three's Company humor, where a lot of it you have to kind of end the joke in your own
PG?
head.
Is it PG?
I can do anywhere from G to rated R. Now, my crowd work sometimes gets a little over the top, depending on what venue I'm at and what conversations I might be having with the person in the audience. Those, a lot of times, get a little bit
All right,
more.
so what's off limits?
Off limits for me, there's certain words that are off limits.
The 7 words you can't say on television?
Well, no, not. There's only one really for me, and that's racially motivated word.
Okay.
That one I don't think anybody should be using, but especially a guy that looks like me to use it. 2, I steer a little bit clear of religious topics. Not that you have to, it's just a preference for me, probably because of the way I was raised, and I still have a respect for every religion, actually, and I don't want to offend anybody that way. Although on occasion I will
But
bridge
being
that.
a comic, isn't it part of your job to offend a certain group of people?
You know
or
what?
Everybody?
That is a misconception. It's honestly a misconception that a lot of people have about comedy, that you have to be offensive to be a comic. If you really look at it, I run open mics, and what an open mic is these kids get their first exposure to doing comedy, and that's what everybody thinks right off the bat, is that they have to be offensive.
Go ahead, caller.
Hello?
Yeah, you're on the air. Go ahead. You want a couple of tickets to this July 18th event?
No, I'm going to be out of town, but my question,
Oh, okay.
I have a couple of them. How would you rate today's comedians with the ones from Rich Little days and John Biner? And the next one is, today's comedians, do any of them still do impersonations, especially of John Wayne? I'll take my answer over the air.
Okay.
Thank you.
How do I compare them? I think they set the groundwork for what we're doing today. They gave us a template to look at. And today's comedians that do really well are ones that follow the same kind of structure that they had. It's like learning how to paint. Like Michelangelo he learned from the masters before he became a master. So you have to learn from them before you can break away and start doing your own artistic thing. Oh. And yeah, there are a lot of comedians out there doing imitations, but they're not in the mainstream right now.
Like Rich Little always impersonated other people.
Right.
Okay. Are there any comedians today who are as good as he was doing the same thing?
There are some that are as good, but what you have to realize is it's still their comedy. They just do it in a different voice. It's not like they're writing the comedy towards that person, but they're kind of misdirecting you. This is something this person would never say, so they're doing it in that voice. I am terrible at voices. I'm terrible at accents. My comedy is more cerebral, where you've got to it's layered, and you kind of got to listen to it more.
I guess I have to take a break, but I'm still trying to rack in my brain what you said about Christianity and religion, what that's got to do with comedy, and why your ex-wife is against you doing comedy, but I got to take a break, so we'll talk about that on the other side. So anyway, yeah, explain further. I want to know more details about that. But anyway, I've got 4 pairs of tickets to the July 18th venue in Madera for Danny Minch. He's, let's see, how old are you again? Okay.
I'm 47 years old.
Correctamundo. 47 and still running, my friends. The batteries are still going. 436-MeTV, option 11. We're talking comedy here on the program today. This is not Comedy Central. It's Connect with Me. Back in a moment.
We need help to find this missing child. Hallie Cummings was 7 when she went missing. She was last seen in Satsuma, Florida in February of 2009. This is what we believe she looks like today at age 11. If you have any information, please call the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children at 1-800-THE-LOST. That's 1-800-843-5678. Please help bring Hallie Cummings home.
At 20/20 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 20/20 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Donuts. Have you ever had donuts? I was just like, thank you. Now I can go out and hunt donuts and capture in my donuts. And I found a tribe of wild donuts out in the woods. They dug a pit and I fell in it. They caught me in a donut hole. Then they started sprinkling me and my eyes got all glazed. But I had some bear claws, so I climbed out. I ate my way out of the village, and there were dozens of them. I celebrated at a maple bar. I'll end with this one, guys. I love balls. As do these guys. Blue balls are the
the saddest of all balls.
All right, Danny Minch, here we are back on Connect with Me on MeTV Fresno 436, MeTV Option 11, talking comedy today with Danny Minch. Got 4 pairs of tickets for the July 18th comedy show in Madera. And let me ask you a question, okay? What about, borrowing material, comedy material from other comics? Do you ever do that?
No, that's called stealing. We call it plagiarizing in the community.
Have you ever done it?
No, I've never done it. And that you write your own material. If you write your own material and you write what you know about, nobody's going to be able to take your stuff, because when they do it, it's going to seem disingenuous. Now, I think the most famous person for doing that was Carlos Mencia. He got caught several times stealing jokes. Comedians are getting caught all the time doing it. So with the way social media is set up, and there's a camera on everything everybody's doing, no matter what club you're in, no matter what television station you're on, people are gonna see it. That's all there is to it. So don't do it. It's simple as that. You're gonna get caught.
Yeah, eventually.
Yeah.
Eventually gonna
and
get
then
caught.
you will get blackballed in comedy. They will not have you at the major clubs.
Okay, so an email question. I think you already kind of answered this. No topic is off limits?
No topic is off limits.
Yeah,
what it
you
is,
touched on that before. But
and to bring it back to the point about religion, it's not off limits. It is for me because it's a touchy subject with me. So I would seem more disingenuous talking about it up there because I have a little bit of a struggle with it, which some comedians would say that's what you want to use because it'll be edgier. But with me, it's such a strong subject that I kind of stay away from it, because there's a lot of my family members that it would be a problem with, like even my children. So that not that it's off limits, it's not. It's absolutely on the table for all comedians. It's one of the subjects that I have a hard time dealing with.
all right, if you're a comic, any comedian has got a joke up his sleeve and can pull one right out of his hat. I know you're not wearing a hat, but you can pull one out at a moment's notice.
Hopefully. That is what you
Give
always...
me one.
Well, there's...
A joke.
Well, I'm a paid comedian. You'd actually have to pay me to tell you a joke.
Anybody got a 5, a 10,
would work.
a 20?
A 5 would be
A
perfect.
5 would
yeah.
be a 5 would. Sorry, you caught me short today. Sorry.
Okay. Well, I'm short all the time, so
Okay.
you're
All right.
you're right. I'm right
give
there
me
with
one.
you.
Come on.
Just right off the bat, give you a
Right
joke.
off the bat, give me a joke. Clean. Got to keep it clean.
Okay, we'll keep it clean. I used to raise candy corn.
Okay.
To feed my candy chickens, my peeps. Then they would lay Cadbury eggs.
Okay.
I was a Jolly Rancher. It was tough work. I was once mauled by a gummy bear on my Jolly Ranch. He took a big hunk out of me. Medical bill cost me $100 grand. Fortunately, I just got a king-size payday. I wasn't expecting as many Snickers from that.
All right. All right. Let me run down a list here of comedians, and then you tell me what you think of them. Give me a couple of one-liners about these guys.
Okay, I'll try.
Right. Lauren, our director over here, had no idea who Bob Hope was. Give me a liner about Bob Hope.
Bob Hope, I don't have a joke about Bob Hope. I actually was at the Bob Hope Theater seeing Louis C.K. down in Stockton, which was a beautiful theater. Bob Hope's style of comedy was more conversational, and to the people that he was with, he was more of a talk show host style comedian. So it's hard to, he's more of an actor comedian more than just a stand-up comedian.
Here's another one Lauren has never heard of. Milton Berle.
Milton Berle, the largest man in comedy. He dressed like a woman, but I heard he was all man.
The man who had no respect.
Rodney Dangerfield. Love Rodney Dangerfield. Rodney Dangerfield is actually responsible for the movement of comedy clubs opening all throughout America in the 80s. He was instrumental in comedy blowing up all throughout America.
Right, yeah. Well, and of course, he was on all the talk shows,
and
all the time.
He got more respect than just about any comedian.
He did, and he always played Vegas for some reason. But Soupy Sales.
Soupy Sales. Don't know much about Soupy Sales. I can't give you that. I can talk about Campbell's Chicken Noodle, and I actually used to sell that, so that's about the only Soupy Sales I could talk about.
All right, Jackie Gleason.
Oh, yeah, not much to say about him either.
Oh, come on. The Honeymooners?
The Honeymooners, what I watched of the Honeymooners was basically the Flintstones, which was a
don't we carry
cartoon
the Honeymooners
version
here?
of the Honeymooners.
We do. We carry the Honeymooners on this program.
I will say that it was a great prequel to Married with Children.
Red Skelton.
Red Skelton was a one-liner comedian, which is a matter of fact, his comedy right now you probably know more of than anybody else's, because so much of his comedy got turned into internet memes. Like all these little one-liner jokes or jokes you hear in a elevator with a group of people were probably Red Skelton's at one time or another. When you listen to his stuff, you're thinking, oh my goodness, he stole everything. But he was the one that wrote all those original jokes that people go to work and tell. So he is a master one-liner comedian.
All right, another show that we obviously feature here on Me TV Fresno is Lucille Ball.
Lucille Ball was not a comedian. She was a comedic actress. She was never a stand-up.
She was never a stand-up comic,
she was never
a comedian.
She was a comedic actress, an amazing comedic actress.
Right.
So there is that.
So what's the difference? So you mean to tell me you don't think she could have done stand-up?
There are a lot of comedic actors that will refuse to do stand-up because
they can't do it?
Because it is such a difficult thing to do. It's way different than learning a line and making that line funny, whereas you're going up. And here with television, that kind of stuff, when you're a comedic actor, you're playing for the camera. You're playing for the laugh that you already know is written for you. So you do that. When you do stand-up comedy, you have instant feedback. You're never going to know if that joke's funny on a television show until it airs, and then people come back to you and say, that was funny, this wasn't funny. With a comedy show, you don't have a laugh track to fall back on. You have to make that actual audience laugh, and that is very, very hard.
Yeah, it is hard. It's a different medium. It's a different venue. It takes different types of skills. You don't get the immediate reaction, of course, from acting as you do on stage. When you're on stage, you get the immediacy of everything.
Exactly.
So we got a phone call here. All right. You're on Connect with Me. Caller, you're on the air. You want a couple of tickets to the venue on July 18th.
Oh, thank you, John. Thank you. But again,
got to turn them up.
I'm not going to be able to make it that weekend. But I do have a question for your guest.
Got to turn them up.
Robin Williams, what was his influence in your comedy, if any, and how did his death, did it affect you at all as a comedian? And did you see that with any other comedians while you're on stage or at shows? I'll take my answer over the air. Thank you.
Now, Robin Williams was not just a comedian, stand-up comedian, but he was also a comedic actor. I did not pattern myself after him in any way. I enjoyed watching him. You learn from everybody, whether you take it for, this person did well, this person didn't do well. I learned from every comedian, even ones that I consider bad comedians. Robin Williams, however, was in the top percentile. And of course, when he died, it affected the entire community. He had perforated so many. He would pop in at an open mic and do a show, just for free,
off the top of his head.
Yeah, just
nothing prepared.
Nothing prepared. And well, he did have a prepared set. When you see his specials, those were prepared. He's just very manic, and it's very hard to copy. Have him influence you unless you have that manic style, which I don't. I'm more animated than a lot of comedians, but he was over the top with it.
Yeah.
And there's no way.
He was so quick-witted. That's what made him.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Back here on Connect with Me, 436 Me TV option 11. I do have 4 pairs of tickets to APCAL in Madera, July the 18th. It is starring Danny Minch, 47 years old. Didn't get started until late in life, my friend. He's only been doing comedy for 8 years. Stand-up, that is. All right, you go see him on July the 18th in Madera. 436 Me TV option 11. This program today is sponsored by Dr. Thomas Casagrande of 2020 Optometrics. At 2020 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 2020 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
Want to create something extraordinary? Create perfection. Our lifestyle appliances make it easy. KitchenAid, Ventura TV appliance, and you, when only the best will do.
Back here with Danny Minch. That's right, and he is a Minch, my friends. 47-year-old comedy stand-up actor, or a comedian, I should say.
Yeah.
Well, you could be. Well, it's it is acting to a certain extent.
Well,
right?
I have done some acting jobs also, so a little bit of acting here and there. But
I see.
I'm more of a comedian than an actor.
All right, so let's get back to the beginning of this conversation. We talked about Christianity, we talked about religion, and we talked about your ex-wife. I still don't get it through my head how religion or Christianity had played a role in either you doing stand-up or not.
It was because it was a personal choice I made while I was following the religion, that I felt like I couldn't do both because of the language involved with comedy and the lifestyle. So, and my ex-wife agreed. She was like, no, I don't want you doing that. So we figured a way to get away from that and allow me to start doing comedy, and that was a good divorce. And then I moved out and I started doing my own thing. I feel like my life started over when I was 39 years old, because I had always felt like I was this person, but then that person finally emerged. So it was kind of a rebirth when I was 39.
And so what does your ex-wife feel now that you've been in it for 8 years? How does she react now when you talk about divorce and your own divorce?
She comes to the shows. She's in the audience when I'm talking about divorcing her, and she's with her boyfriend there and my sons. So she's supportive. I know in her heart of heart she wishes I was a doctor or a lawyer, somebody who's making tons of money, but comedians don't make that much money. So
she'd get more in alimony.
Yes, she would if I was a doctor or a lawyer, or if I had Robin Williams money. So she's looking forward to the day that I get, my special on HBO.
Right.
Yeah.
And do you ever see that happening?
I see it happening all the time. In it's what I strive for. It's if you're in it to be mediocre, get out. I'm in it to get to the very top that I can get to.
And what level are you at right now, in your opinion?
What level am I at? I'm about mid-level, where I'm making a living only doing comedy, which is a very small percentile of comedians. Most comedians have a day job. I'm in that percentile that are working full-time as a comedian, but haven't hit that pinnacle where you're going to sell out arenas. So I might be doing a show one week for 300 people at San Miguel, and then the next week 5 people at a pizza place. So you never know what you're going to get.
But are you so right now you're playing how many venues, say, a year or every 6 months?
Every 6 months, I would say I'm playing different venues, probably 40, 45 different venues. My home venue is
45 different venues in a span of what time?
Like 6 months, seven months.
Uh-huh.
A lot of them I get to come back to after I do it. A lot of times at my level, what they'll do is they'll hire you to feature for a headlining comedian. Then they see your stuff. Then they invite you back to be the headliner, which is a huge pay increase.
Yeah.
From when.
All right. Caller, go ahead. You're there.
I would like to know what he thinks of Paul Rodriguez and George Lopez.
Think of what now? I'm sorry?
Paul Rodriguez and George Lopez.
Oh, I got you. Okay. Yeah, two great questions.
I didn't get the first one.
Apologies?
Apologies. Apologize.
You ever apologize for anything you've ever said?
I have tried to explain myself. I never really feel like I need to apologize, because if you're apologizing for something, that means you're going to change what you do, I think. That's what an apology is. Look, I'm sorry, I did that. I won't do that again.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to do that again.
I'm sorry I said that about the Pope. I'll never do that again.
My set is written. I know it works. I'm going to do that again at the next venue. I might try to explain, hey, you know, this is comedy. I didn't mean to hurt your feelings.
Right.
But I understand that some people are a little touchier on certain subjects than others. I in no way wanted to hurt your feelings. That's not what I'm up there for. I'm up there to make people laugh, not to make people feel bad.
You ever made fun of the Pope?
I have probably made fun of the Pope, probably in just crowd work, but I do not have anything written about it.
You ever made fun of Catholics?
Yes, I have.
How about Jews?
Yes.
How about Greeks?
I don't think I have anything on Greeks, but I can do a yogurt show.
You could do it now. You know what's going on over there, right?
No, actually, I don't watch the
country's
news.
going bankrupt.
Well, every country's basically bankrupt.
No, but this is serious. It's all over the news. But
they should have invested in their yogurt, because that would have pulled them right out of bankruptcy. It's great yogurt. It really is.
Have you ever insulted Italians?
Yes, I have. I work
the Irish.
Yes, I have. I work at several Irish clubs throughout the country, Irish bars. My main venue is Mother Mary's at Willow and Ease in Clovis, and it's owned by a New York Italian, so I make fun of him.
Have you ever insulted
constantly.
Hispanics?
Yes, I think we have a clip on that coming up.
Yeah, we did. Well, I think we already played it.
Oh, did we already play it?
Did we already play it?
Yeah.
Did we play it yet? We haven't played. We'll play that later on. Okay.
Actually, I was on tour with the Refried Comedy Tour with Richard Villa, so that was one of the things that got me in with them, was my Mexican roommate sets. So, and got me to the Hollywood Improv and the Brea Improv, that kind of stuff, was getting in with those guys and talking about those guys.
Mm-hmm.
So,
have you ever insulted African Americans?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Asians, yes.
Asians.
Yes, I have.
Indians from India.
And let's clarify this. Not insulted. I've included them in a satirical monologue that I do on stage. I am not insulting anybody. Well, I don't find what I say insulting. And I don't think 90% of the people that see my show, or 99%.
Comedy's supposed to be insulting to a certain extent?
To a certain extent.
Like Don Rickles. What do you think of Don Rickles?
Don Rickles is fine because people go there because they know he's an insult comic. But if he went to a venue where they're used to just normal comedy, I could see where people would get offended by what he does. I believe that you can still do comedy, be funny, without being overly insulting.
All right. The caller asked about George Lopez. I'll ask you about George Lopez after the break. 436-MeTV, option 11. AppCal is the venue in Madera, July the 18th. You can see this man, Danny Minch. He's a Minch. He's 47 years old. He started in comedy only 8 years ago. I've said it 8 million times now. By the way, he's engaged to be married again. You believe that? Anyway, and is she 47?
She is 26, 27.
Gotcha. Gotcha. Okay. Today's program sponsored by Dr. Thomas Casagrande, and I guarantee you he is great. 20/20 Optometrics out there at Shaw and Blackstone. At 20/20 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 20/20 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today.
After my divorce, I had to move some roommates into my house. And I lived in Madera at the time. I didn't know how my life was going to change when I moved Mexicans into my house. Do you know they spontaneously barbecue? 3 o'clock in the morning, I think my house is on fire. I come running down the hall going, what's going on? They're like, we just bought tri-tip essay, what you think? Actually, they don't talk like that. They talk a lot like me, but if you see a guy dressed like this, use the word essay without an accent, you're thinking thesis paper, not Mexicans. These guys barbecue so much, I went to the bathroom the other day, and over the potpourri candle was a grill and a chicken wing sitting right on top. Then they said, Danny, now that we've moved in, can we have a party? And I said, mi casa is su casa, because that's the only Spanish I understand. They said, can we invite some relatives over? I said, sure, what could it hurt? Do you know every Mexican is related? All of a sudden my house was filled with Ninos and Tinos and Abuelitas and cousins and cousins and cousins. There are DJs in every corner of my house. There's a bounce house out back. All right? But there's this one relative there, and you remember him, you were there. I'll give him this much. He wore his best wife beater to the occasion, but he had tattoos of spider webs going up his arms and a tattoo of a teardrop in the corner of his eye, which turned out to be a bad thing. And the rest of the family's holding him back, and he's looking at me. Finally busts through and he walks up to me and goes, hey. Which is cool, that's what the whole family calls me. It's a pet name. Said, Pinche Widow Patejo, let me tell you something. I don't like white people. But my abuelitas tell me, you take good care of my Tito, so from here on out, I consider you a Mexican. Side note to that, now that I'm a Mexican, you can catch me doing a car wash every other weekend for a dead relative. And now I'm a Raider fan. I'll get them next year.
All right, so that was Danny Minch, the comedian who is here, ripping on Hispanics. Part of your routine.
Part of my routine, yes.
Yeah.
My Mexican roommate set was very, very fun.
You had a Mexican roommate.
Yes,
at
I
one
did.
Time.
Yeah, I've had several Mexican roommates.
Well, the one of them has been here on the program before.
Yes,
Phil Medina.
yes, very funny.
Former roommate.
Former roommate.
Okay, and in your prior life, you worked where?
Safemart.
With him?
With him. He was my boss. 25 years I worked there.
Phil Medina was your boss.
Was my boss.
At Safemart. Okay, and you got him into comedy.
Yeah, when we were roommates, we had a show in Madera, one of our first paid show. And I kept telling him, you're really funny, you need to go up. And he was like, no, I'm here just to support you. And so when I made the flyer, I had him put on as host. And I was like, you have to do it now. You're on the flyer. And so he did it, fell in love with it, and now he's doing amazing in comedy.
Flying all over the place.
All over the place, yeah.
Yeah, making good. Does he still work at Safemart, by the way?
I believe so.
Yeah, he does. Okay. All right. So the caller who called in before, I misunderstood what she said. I thought she said apologies. And actually, that was a good question.
That was actually a really good question.
A really good question, but it was made up out of thin air because that's not what she asked.
She asked about Pablo Cruz and George Lopez, who I think both of them are fantastic. Pablo Cruz, I think, is one of the most talented comedians out there because of his vocal work. He actually can. I think he actually's now taken over a lot of the preliminaries for movies where they're like, you know, the deep voice guy at the beginning of the movies, because that's what he does.
Yes.
And I think he's one of the guys that's actually taken over for doing a lot of that.
What about George Lopez?
George Lopez, he's an amazing comedian to me. He took comedy and kind of sectioned it. It was like comedy used to be just all these comedians, and then everybody would get on stage and do their little bit. But what he did was say, hey, look, I'm going to take this this group of people and just focus in on that. And that's what he did, but made it appeal to everybody. So I think it's fantastic.
But he does a lot of Mexican jokes.
He does a lot of Mexican jokes.
Which does not appeal to everyone.
Which is funny because Louis C.K. is actually more Mexican than George Lopez is.
Right.
So and you never hear Louis C.K. do one Mexican joke really.
Right, let's go over the list here. George Carlin.
George Carlin is by far was, but in my heart of heart, what you strive to be as a comedian. He was on the edge. He was phenomenally well written. He was polished. He knew exactly what was coming out of his mouth when it came out. He was not one that liked to do crowd work. He liked doing what he had to say when he was getting up there, but his stuff was so intricate that he had callbacks within callbacks within callbacks within minutes.
Do you remember the routine he did about M&Ms?
No, I don't.
You got to go
remember.
online and watch it. It's pretty fun.
I have a routine about
it's
M&Ms.
just
Now I have to
incredible.
watch it and make sure I'm not stepping on his toes.
Incredible. Okay, so George Carlin, do you want to mention the 7 words you can't say on TV? You better not.
I better
not.
steer clear of those.
Yeah. Okay, before we go to break, Chris Rock.
Chris Rock, I think, is...
Does he rock?
I think he's one of the best comedians out of all times.
Really?
His material, it seems like it comes off the cuff, but he hits on so many points, and he's unapologetic because people go to
He offends a lot of people.
He offends
everyone.
Mostly his own dynamic more than anybody, but he always brings them back, and that's the thing. If you're going to be offensive in your act, make sure you have a fallback that brings people back in, because you can lose the entire crowd. There's nothing wrong with being offensive on stage. It's just you want to remember you're up there entertaining people. You're trying to make people laugh, and you don't want them to shut off. He walks a very nice thin line in between the two.
Yeah. Okay, we're talking with Danny Minch, and he is a comedian, and I got 4 tickets here, actually 8 tickets, 4 pairs, for AppCal. That's the venue in Madera, July the 18th. If you want the tickets, they're right here. All you have to do is call the telephone number on your screen. It's right up there, 436-MeTV, option 11, 4 pairs of tickets. If you want them, they're free of charge. How can you beat that price? We're going to be back after this brief timeout and a word from Dr. Thomas Casagrande. I believe he's 20/20 optometrics. Ever been out there? If you might need new frames someday.
Yeah,
for those glasses.
I don't actually wear glasses. These are a prop.
They're fake.
Yeah, I got them at Claire's.
All right.
But I might go there to see if I need some new glasses.
I understand. Anyway, Dr. Thomas Casagrande, 436-MeTV, option 11. Back with our program in a moment.
Retro TV, your home for classic television. The greatest shows in history are here for you to enjoy. Join Cosby and Colt as secret agent men in I Spy. Ride along the Ponderosa with the Cartwrights in Bonanza. Hit the beat with Joe Friday in Dragnet. And that's not all. Retro TV offers endless fun and excitement for the whole family to enjoy. Retro TV, the best in classic television.
You can find Retro TV on over-the-air channel 13.4.
At 20/20 Optometric, your vision is their focus. Whether you're 5 or 65, Dr. Thomas Casagrande will get to know you, your lifestyle, and vision needs to ensure that your contacts or eyeglasses are a perfect fit and the right prescription every time. With the Valley's largest selection of eyewear, 20/20 has over 2,000 frames, including top designer brands like Coach, Tiffany, Prada, Ray-Ban, Oakley, and more. Eye exams start as low as $89, so call or stop by to schedule your appointment today. All right, back here on the program with Danny Minch, a comedian, and you can see him all over the Central Valley, including Fulton 55, the Tower Theater, and other venues. Do you travel to the South Valley at all?
Yes.
You do, like Visalia, Tulare?
I've done Visalia, I've done Tulare, go all the way.
Merced, Los Banos?
Have I performed in Los Banos? I've performed in so many little places.
Bakersfield?
Several shows at Bakersfield.
Sacramento?
Sacramento, I've done the Punchline there a few
San Francisco?
times. San Francisco. As a matter of fact, I'm doing the San Jose Improv at the last Sunday of this month.
All right, we got a caller waiting. Go ahead, you're on the air. Do you want tickets?
I was calling about the tickets because I've never actually gotten to see a live comedy show, and I've always wanted to.
Well, you got them right here. Do you need 2 or 4?
I'm sorry, I can barely hear you.
Would you like 2 tickets or 4 tickets?
I'll take 2.
You'll take.
I would take 4, but I'm not greedy.
No, you can have 4 if you want. We'll leave 4 for you if you have other couples to go with or another couple.
Done deal then. I'll make it a ladies' night.
Pardon me?
I said I'll make it a ladies' night.
All right. What's your first name?
Karen, K-A-R-I-N.
K-A-R-I-N. We'll leave them here at the front desk. Do you have the address to Ventura TV?
No, I don't. But
let me give it to you real quick, okay? I'll give it to you real quick. It's 3619 East Ventura Avenue in the city of Fresno. It's at Ventura and 6th Street. Park in the side parking lot, go in through the side door, and go right up there to the front desk and ask for our friend Michelle. She gets so upset every time I mention her name on the air. Michelle, Michelle, Michelle. These are the tickets. I'll leave them in an envelope, okay? You got it. Thank you, Karen, for calling. Okay, let me ask you about a couple of other comedians before we move on here.
Okay.
How about Richard Pryor?
Richard Pryor is one of the godfathers of comedy, modern day comedy. He's one of the guys that would change up his act almost every time he went up, and would fail as much as he would kill, and that's one of the things that people loved about him, because he was always trying new things.
Yeah.
He was always trying to do something different, and then polish it up, get it ready for his specials. He was one of the first guys I remember having a special on television.
Yeah.
That I could remember going back and going, this is just a comedy stand-up special. So he set the tone for what's going on now. Now you can turn your TV on 24 hours a day and find a special that you need.
Okay, really sad what's happened with Bill Cosby, but what do you make of what's happened to him, and do you include any Cosby jokes in your act?
No, I don't have any Cosby jokes in my act, not because I'm steering clear of it, because I feel like it's going to have a shelf life, for one thing. Whatever jokes I write in 6 months,
and you don't want to pounce on a guy that's down?
And nobody's filed one charge against him. Here's the thing. People can say whatever they want about you until there's some concrete evidence and there's somebody that has filed against you or done something concrete. It's just people talking at that point.
What do you think of his comedy? Because he started, and I don't know, do we show I Spy here on MeTV? Do we know? We do. Okay, because he started as an actor, basically, for the most part, although he did some comedy back in the early years, very early years in San Francisco. You know, he started, he became well-known for I Spy, and then really went through the charts and with comedy.
He was the first comedy album I owned, was Bill Cosby.
Fat
the whole
Albert.
Noah and that kind of stuff. Very well written, very clean. He was across the board for every audience. It didn't matter who you were, you could listen to him and find something in it that you really, really enjoyed.
He would talk about kids.
Mm-hmm.
He would laugh about his own kids.
Right.
Make up stories that, you know, not make up stories, but tell stories about his own family and kids
Right.
and what they would do.
Which was another way of setting the tone for a lot of comedians that came after him, like Ray Romano and those kind of guys, because they saw that you could just take your own life and make it funny without having to go over the top with anything, and which he never did.
Is Jerry Seinfeld funny?
Jerry Seinfeld is hilarious. I've saw him several times over at the Soroyan Theater when he came into town. He is, to me, just hilarious.
Okay, I don't think he's that funny personally.
Well,
but I
subjective.
thought his television show was hilarious because of all the other characters around him that made the show. But him alone as a stand-up comic, I don't know.
As an actor, I don't find him to be that funny, actually. So,
Yeah.
but I loved his show. But as a stand-up comedian, have you seen his stand-up? Like a full thing of his stand-up?
I've seen clips of it, yes.
Well, I mean, you probably got a good feel of it. He is a very good wordsmith, and he's completely written, and he's a very, very, very funny man.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I do have a couple of email questions that I want to shoot out at you here. Does your guest care to comment on the passing of Jim Bailey?
Nah, I really don't know anything.
How about Jim Carrey?
Jim Carrey passed?
No.
Oh, man, that's horrible.
No.
Oh, no, Jim Carrey, great stand-up comedian. When he was doing stand-up, he did it for a very short time, and then he got into comedic acting. He will never go back to doing stand-up again. It's not his thing anymore.
Why?
It's like a lot of guys will get into being really good at doing movies, never go back to stand-up. Adam Sandler says he hates stand-up. He won't go back to it, and that's what got him where he was at. There's a lot of guys that will never give it up. If I probably got famous, which is not going to happen because, as has been said many times, I'm 47 years old. So probably not.
How old are you?
47.
Okay.
And probably not a huge movie career ahead for me. But even if I did have some success in that, I would still want that feedback from the audience. I love an audience.
Do people compare you to any one comic?
No, people compare me to the guy from Mythbusters and Paul Giamatti, but no comedians. But my style is more like Mitch Hedberg's, a lot of people will say, but I really don't see it. and Stephen Wright. A lot of people say Stephen Wright, but I'm more animated than Stephen Wright.
We all know that Bob Hope did all these overseas shows with the troops. Ever consider doing something like that?
Oh, I would love to. And
you have to be invited, I believe.
Yes, you have to have an agent. You have to work through it. And here's the main reason. I mean, I've performed for the troops before, but I've never been overseas. The main reason I want to do it, and not just because of supporting the troops, but it pays in an incredible amount.
Okay, but where have you performed for the troops?
Fort Bliss in El Paso, Texas.
Okay.
So I've performed for the troops down there.
And what was their reaction to your comedy?
Well, they loved it. I also did a show for Fulton 55. It was all the comedians on the bill had served in the armed services. I was the host. I was the one guy that hadn't. That was a really good show. Then we also did some, I just got finished doing a private show for the Air National Guard. 2 of the guys were going to Qatar, so they threw him a big show, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Got to go to break. I got 4 more tickets left to the venue in Madera on July the 18th. It's at AppCal, and you can see this guy, Danny Minch. He's a comic and not an actor yet, but who knows? Yeah, that could be in your future. And then you won't do stand-up anymore, right?
No, I would. I'd still do stand-up.
Yeah, well, that remains to be seen. 436-MeTV, option 11. Dr. Thomas Casagrande is our guest. Or actually, he's our sponsor today. Our guest is sitting here. But if you need new frames, new glasses, go out and see 2020 Optometrics, Dr. Thomas Casagrande. We're back in a moment.
Take a look at this. Let's play. This is too hip for you. I'll slow it down. Let's play.
Watch all your favorite classic game shows on Buzzer TV, KBBC Digital Channel 13.7.
Just bought a Prius, now I don't buy gas. I just tell everyone my battery's dead. I ask for a jump and I go another 40 miles. I'm going on a tour of America with nothing but jumper cables. Me and my girlfriend had a Prius. It was before we met. See, it was a Prius. Some of you guys won't get this until you go home. Ford's just come out with a new Aerostar. It's got a painting of Starry, Starry Night down the side of it. When people see it, they go, hey, look at that van go. Thank you, art students in the audience. My Prius came with a GPS voiced by Bono of U2, but it's really hard to use because the streets have no names. I still haven't found what I'm looking for. Ended up running into a Joshua tree. It was a Sunday, bloody Sunday. I love cheese. Yeah. Blue cheese is the saddest of all cheese. Swiss cheese is the most Christian. Brie is the sluttiest of all cheeses. Because it's the easiest to spread. In a world of cheese, the savior would be Jesus Christ. Unless you're Asian, then it would be Gouda. I don't do comedy full-time. I'm also an inventor. I've just come up with an invention for Asian people. It's animal crackers with nothing but dogs and cats in the package.
Danny Minch, hey, got 4 more tickets, only a couple of minutes left here. The 4 tickets are available for the July 18th venue in Madera, AppCal, and so let me ask you something in your mind. How do you see it, Danny? What is comedy in your mind? What is it?
I think comedy's pretty much self-explanatory in everybody's mind. It's something that makes you laugh. If you say something that makes somebody laugh, that's comedy. Now, stand-up comedy is more misdirection. Misdirection of you're bringing somebody down a road and then you kind of blindside them off to the side, and that is what my style of comedy is. Try to misdirect people.
You try to misdirect people in what way?
You think you're going one way. They think they know exactly where you're ending up at. They kind of figure where the comedy's going to end, and then you throw something completely off the wall at them. And that that to me is my favorite kind of comedy, and that's what I try to kind of throw at people. So what I like to do, what I instill in the new guys that are coming up at like my open mics, is to not just be vulgar, but to be smart about it. Think your way through the comedy.
If I went to your show on July the 18th, what kind of comedy routine am I going to see? What's your style, in other words? What's your style, and what am I going to hear?
You're going to see 5 or 6 different comedians, for one thing. Darren Carter is the headliner. He's actually he's a huge LA headliner, throughout the whole entire country headliner.
But what am I going to see from Danny Minch?
From what you just saw on the TV, basically, is
on some of those clips.
On some of those clips, there'll be a lot of wordplay, friendly banter with the audience. We'll get a rapport going, is what we'll get. But mostly my written material and a lot heavy on the wordplay.
Okay.
A lot of food jokes. I do a lot of food jokes.
Okay. 436-ME-TV, a couple of minutes left if you want these 4 tickets to the venue in Madera, July the 18th. Ever been booed?
Oh, yes.
You have?
Oh, yes.
What's that
I've actually
like?
had somebody get up to rush the stage once. So
Where was that?
That was in Mother Mary's in Clovis, but he sat right back down. And then he actually got to enjoy the show. It was because I was bantering with his wife, who was completely blitzed. And
Really?
yeah, and she was making a show of herself, so I made her the show for about 3 minutes, and he got upset, stood up, and then he realized what was going on. He sat back down.
Right, but it wasn't because of your material.
It was more of what I was saying in between my material.
But have you gotten booed off the stage because of your material?
I've never gotten booed off stage. I have never had to leave the stage. I've been booed on stage before, but then I bring the crowd back. I've had some things where I thought, hey, this is going to be funny, and it struck a chord in the audience, and they're like, oh. And it's more of an than a boo. But
Right.
I've never actually had people go boo. But like,
But how do you keep your composure without losing your confidence and keep going?
sometimes you don't. Sometimes when that happens, that's why it's such a struggle up there. They will get to you, and you will lose your timing. You will lose you. I wish I could say every one of my sets have been 100%. But
guys like Steve Martin, for example. I love him. He's a great comedian, in my opinion.
Another guy will not do stand-up ever again.
But these guys, they don't get rattled on stage. No matter what, they just don't get. They just keep going.
Yeah, read their books.
And even Johnny Carson. A lot of his jokes fell flat, and he would make fun of himself.
Yeah,
he wouldn't get rattled.
A lot of times you have to have a safety net where some of the jokes you're thinking that might not work with this crowd. It's called reading a crowd. You read the crowd, and then sometimes you have a safety net right underneath it.
Carson would look up at the crowd and say, "Oh, tough crowd tonight."
Yeah.
And then he'd look at Ed McMahon and make fun of it and keep going.
Yeah.
And then he'd say, "Okay, let's try this one. See if this one works." And it just kept going and going and going and David Letterman, maybe the same thing.
Same thing. Well, David Letterman was actually a stand-up comedian before he became a talk show host. Whereas Letterman, that's all he did was talk show. And so most of his stuff is written for him when he comes out, so when his jokes don't hit, a lot of times it's like,
I'm trying to think of the comedian that died in a car crash going to Vegas or in Vegas. Very vulgar years ago, like 20-something years ago. And I forgot his name. Darn, I wish I could think of his name. Anyway, we're out of time.
Oh, you're kidding.
Hey,
It's
the venue is AppCal Madera, July the 18th. You can see Danny Minch, 47 years old, engaged to a 26-year-old beautiful lady.
Yes.
Who what is she seeing you?
Obviously, all the money that I'm going to eventually make. It's that Hyundai that I'm driving that she's just into.
All right. See you back tomorrow and connect with me. I hope to see you soon. All right, Danny.
Absolutely.
Thanks for being good.
Thank you.
Now, stay put.
Okay, I'm staying putting.
Yeah. Anyway, thanks for your time. I appreciate you being here. Danny Minch, and see him July 18th in Madera. See you tomorrow and connect with me with the Mosquito Guy. Have a good day.